Last couple years, they changed a little bit politics, and I don't like this.
Floyd Schofield recently shared his take on a potential clash between Keyshawn Davis and Devin Haney, sparking plenty of discussion. While he acknowledged that both fighters bring energy and excitement to the ring, Schofield was clear that he doesn't see Davis coming out on top. In his opinion, Haney's experience and composure give him the advantage, particularly after displaying a higher level of skill and calmness in his most recent fight. Schofield also noted that while Davis appeared impressive against Jermaine Ortiz, Ortiz seemed hesitant and never fully challenged him, which may have made Davis' performance look more dominant than it actually was.
The only reason why I feel like those guys do lose is obviously if somebody's better than them, but if they gas out because they're overtrained.
However, recent shifts in the UFC's business landscape suggest that the appetite for wrestling-focused Dagestani fighters and the search for the next Khabib may be starting to decline.
When you look at Paramount Plus, right, this new deal that we're going into, you get to watch all the UFC programming on there, no pay-per-view anymore.
This change could signal a turning point for the Caucasus region's grip on the UFC. Their decline may not come from being beaten by a new generation inside the cage, but rather from behind-the-scenes forces, politics, and an industry that increasingly prioritizes entertainment value. To understand how things reached this stage, it helps to look back at how fighters from the Caucasus rose to prominence in the first place. ASMMA has evolved. It's gone through distinct phases. In its earliest days, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ruled the sport, led by pioneers like Royce and Rickson Gracie. At that time, most competitors simply didn't have answers for this unfamiliar grappling style as it made its way into North America, allowing BJJ to dominate the landscape.
No one knew what the best martial art was, and the idea was like there was all these martial arts that are running around independently, and they were all claiming that they had the best technique, and let's see what happens. And Royce Gracie was the one who represented jiu-jitsu and went out there and beat all these people with superior technique and superior strategy.
As the years passed, the UFC entered a new phase marked by the rise of elite American wrestlers. With a better understanding of how to counter Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, fighters like Mark Coleman, Randy Couture, and Matt Hughes were able to impose their style, using takedowns and control to dominate opponents, particularly under rule sets that favored wrestling over the Pride-style format.
There was a Mark Coleman era when Mark Coleman was smashing everybody, and he was 255 pounds of solid muscle.
By the mid-2000s, a new wave began to rise as strikers with reliable takedown defense started to dominate. This sprawl and brawl era, led by fighters like Chuck Liddell, opened the door for more refined stand-up specialists such as Anderson Silva to capture the global spotlight. Around that time, the sport shifted toward athletes who truly embodied the concept of mixed martial arts. Silva, for example, wasn't just an elite striker, he also had a strong grappling foundation. John Jones later pushed this evolution even further, redefining how wrestling and striking could be seamlessly combined. With complete fighters like Georges St. Pierre and Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson controlling their divisions, it felt as though MMA had reached a fully realized form.
Demetrius Johnson is one of the 5 greatest fighters in the history of this sport. And in his own division, he's also a sort of pioneer. He's also maybe the most complete pound-for-pound fighter of all time if we're actually saying who should be pound-for-pound number 1 all time. Not in your accomplishments, right? But just sort of like your complete game.
To reach the highest level, fighters now needed to be well-rounded across every aspect of the sport. The era where a single-skill specialist could rule a division was largely finished. And while that idea still holds some weight, an emerging lightweight would soon show that true dominance could still be built around mastering one core skill to perfection.
You talk to Frankie, you talk to Eddie Alvarez. I go, how hard is it to take down Barboza? They go, oh, it's damn near impossible in training. Like, we don't get them down very easily, and they're badasses.
Right.
So you go, what Khabib did, we didn't think he was going to be able to do. And if you look at that third round when Barboza's like, he gets taken down, and he's like kind of cage crawling, you look at his face, he looks like, get me the out of here. Yeah. Like, there's sheer panic, and that's the difference between Khabib and the rest of these fighters.
Aside from one tightly contested bout against Gleason Tibau, Nurmagomedov tore through the lightweight division. Although recurring weight complications and injuries delayed his path to the title, there was a strong case that he was already the top lightweight in the world well before he officially claimed the belt. His dominance over Rafael dos Anjos, more than a year before RDA became champion himself, only reinforced that belief. The rest is familiar history. Khabib captured the championship, defended it multiple times, and went on to headline the highest-selling pay-per-view event ever against Conor McGregor. What he created went beyond a title run. It became a blueprint that sparked a wave, motivating an entire generation of fighters from the Caucasus region to follow in his footsteps.
They're trying to get to the UFC. They want to like have a contract. Like that was what Abu Bakr said. One of Khabib's brothers was saying the goal is to like get a UFC contract here in Dagestan. Like that's all so they're all going to be working hella hard.
Because they're seeing what Khabib did, they're seeing what Islam's done.
29-0, like you're going to want to be that.
The region has never lacked high-level talent, but what Nurmagomedov truly provided was a clear roadmap for fighters from that area to reach the pinnacle of MMA. Now, based on recent UFC decisions, it's possible that wrestlers from the Caucasus could become the first dominant wave in the sport to fade, not because MMA evolved beyond them, but due to choices made at the management level that in 2025, Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev both competed in some of the year's most high-profile title bouts. Khamzat captured the middleweight championship by defeating Dricus du Plessis, while Islam moved up a weight class and claimed the welterweight title with a win over Jack Della Maddalena. Interestingly, their performances followed a very similar pattern. Both fighters repeatedly secured takedowns and controlled their opponents with ease. By the second round of each fight, the gap in grappling ability between the Russian challengers and the reigning champions was obvious.
This control is amazing, but it's only for control. You're not advancing the fight. And to me, if you're that good over the neck, that guy, which by the way is amazing that he took a pound for pound guy and did that to him. But if the difference between me and that guy is like that much, brother, it's time to open up a little bit.
It would be unfair to label Islam or Khamzat as dull competitors. Islam has produced plenty of finishes, and Khamzat often looks unstoppable when he's in the cage. In many ways, both displayed such complete control that they were never truly threatened at any point. And that might be where the issue begins. For dedicated fans, the level of skill required to overpower elite opponents is still remarkable. At the same time, performances built on total control and minimal risk naturally invite a certain level of criticism.
I will say this though, very impressive performance from Khamzat Chimaev. The most f***ing dull thing I've ever seen in my life in a championship fight. Pathetic for a guy talking about kill everybody, I kill everybody, smash everybody. Nah, I'm good off that now.
The issue becomes even more complex when you consider that Islam and Khamzat are essentially the standout stars from that region. Most other fighters coming from the same background struggle to gain attention from the wider audience. And this highlights the first major challenge in promoting them. There's a clear cultural disconnect with the Western style of selling fights, since many of these fighters aren't inclined toward trash talk or even interested in it at all.
I feel very bad for US promotions, very, very bad, because there is so many hungry fighters coming. And they don't like to talk, they don't like trash talk. They just come, smash people and take money, you know? And US promotions, they don't like this. They like trash talking, they like entertainment.
To be clear, the UFC has seen its share of champions who were dominant without always being thrilling. Georges St-Pierre, for example, was frequently labeled boring during his reign, especially when stacked against the excitement of Anderson Silva or John Jones. Yet today, GSP is widely regarded as one of the greatest fighters ever, from a business standpoint. Though, the landscape was very different back then. During GSP's era, the UFC was still working to establish itself as a legitimate major sports organization. Dana White and the Fertitta brothers largely answered only to themselves. At that time, the promotion had access to a massive global audience. In contrast, today's market is far more focused and limited compared to those earlier years.
Paramount is the customer. They have purchased for an extreme amount of money the broadcast rights for the UFC. And in every other facet of business across the globe, in any industry, when you are the one paying money to somebody else, you get to dictate certain things. You get to have demands.
Not to mention, GSP also opened the UFC to a highly valuable market in Canada, which added to his significance. In contrast, the Caucasus region, while populous, isn't a key target market for the UFC. Currently, the organization can't even fully operate there due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Their workaround has been to leverage fighters from the region to promote events in Abu Dhabi, capitalizing on shared cultural and religious ties. Even so, that approach has limits. Abu Dhabi is more of a symbolic and strategic location than a major consumer market like Canada, Brazil, or the UK now. Under the Paramount era, these challenges could become even more pronounced. While Islam, Khabib, and Khamzat remain fan favorites, other talented fighters on the roster, like Umar Nurmagomedov, Magomed Ankalaev, and Movsar Evloev, have just as much potential to claim titles, yet they lack comparable star power. Even more concerning for the UFC, their rise could overshadow established Western stars like Alex Pereira.
This is obviously something that was possible. This is something that we all talked about going in, the UFC's star problem and how big of a issue this would be if it went this way, if this result actually materialized. And now here we are staring at Magomed Ankalaev as a light heavyweight champion. And guys, don't listen to me. Don't believe me when I tell you that this is a nightmare. Just look at the UFC's actions. They did everything in their power not to give this guy a title shot because they did not want to face the reality of him being a champion. Same situation with Bilal Muhammad, and the same situation ended up happening.
It's probably not a coincidence that fighters like Shamil Abdurakhimov and Magomed Ankalaev are being passed over for title opportunities right now. While Dana White may never acknowledge it publicly, the trend is hard to ignore.
UFC trying to give this shot for other person, but I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And if you have like more deserved contender for the title, just let me test him. Yeah, if you don't give me a title, just give me your contenders. Okay, I'm here to test your guys, UFC.
Movsar Evloev currently holds the top contender spot at featherweight, boasting a perfect 9-0 record in the UFC. Yet despite his credentials, he was passed over in favor of Diego Lopez, an opponent who had a title shot just a year earlier and happened to be the last man fought by reigning champion Alexander Volkanovski. Hardcore fans recognize the skill and merit Evloev brings to the table, but casual viewers may not even know his name. From a business perspective under Paramount, the UFC may prefer a fighter who doesn't generate much hype but has the ability to maintain the belt for years. As a result, athletes like Evloev continue to be sidelined, limiting the opportunities for Caucasus fighters to actually compete for championship gold. That a similar pattern emerged with Mohamed Mokaev, one of the few fighters to leave the UFC undefeated. The British Dagestani flyweight was widely regarded as a future champion. In his last UFC fight, he defeated none other than Manikap, who was considered the most likely contender for the title. That bout marked the end of his contract, and despite his obvious potential, the organization didn't make efforts to retain him, a move that surprised many given his championship-level skills.
Mokaev is the guy that he'd want to bring back to the UFC because he said his contract is totally done now.
Yeah, he is. He's under contract. He's not under contract anymore.
Okay, but would you be interested in keeping him around in the
I think the PFL is going to get a great undefeated guy.
Really?
Good luck to him.
Of course, Mokaev's actions outside the cage, like causing a stir during fight week, gave the UFC reasons to hesitate. Still, it's hard to believe they would have let him go if his fighting style and ability to draw attention were truly valued. And he isn't the only one affected. Renat Fakiev, another undefeated UFC fighter, also didn't receive a new contract offer. The UFC's approach to recruitment has shifted in recent years. Russia currently ranks third in total UFC fighters by country, and during the 2010s, there was a significant influx of Caucasus athletes joining the promotion. That wave produced multiple champions, including names like Islam Makhachev,